Hey guys, happy Wednesday. Mama C here with a quick word. So I was looking back at my videos and I realized I have not made a video since like last year, I think, at least like a long video, which is crazy because it doesn't feel like that. But today I pretty much wanted to come on here and talk about the power of God's timing. And I also wanted to do a little bit of story time. So I want to be honest up front and let you guys know the video is going to be a little bit longer than normal because I really want to break down the story so that you can get the full understanding of what God shared with me. So pretty much to start from the beginning, last week on Thursday, well, Wednesday was my birthday. Ooh, dirty 30. I don't know why they say dirty, but yeah, I'm 30. So I'm happy about that. But Wednesday was my birthday. And then Thursday, usually on Wednesdays and Thursdays, I go to my son's swim lessons. But God has been dealing with me a lot about me like being wasteful with my time and being distracted. So I've been really trying to lock in and focus on myself and my business and my kids and creating these systems that are needed in order for me to be productive. So on Thursday, God was just like, yeah, like today you're going to be pretty much taking this day for you. So I was like, okay, cool, no worries. But it wasn't easy for me, like, because I'm so used to going to swim lessons. I was packing my gym bag and I see my swimsuit and I was like, oh, well, I could go to the gym, then I could go. And I was like, no, Sierra, just leave. So I left my swimsuit here. And then I left and ran errands. So I get to the gym around 5:15ish, and usually I do Zumba classes on Thursdays, and I thought that they started at 6:30, but I've been out of the gym. I had been out of the gym for about 3 weeks due to travel and business. So I'm working out and doing my little thing on the, Stairmaster, and I check my app and I realize Zumba actually started at 5:30. So I get off there and I run over to Zumba. I'm about 5 minutes late, and I just get in and get right on task. So there was a lady in front of me and we're all dancing and I noticed her, and I could tell she was like engaged, but she was just a little off. And I didn't think anything of it because I'm just like, hey, maybe she's tired. Who knows? Like, she just didn't seem fully engaged with it. But I seen she was trying. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, that's what I love about Zumba, because all ages go. There's older women, younger women, and like there's no pressure for you to be perfect. You can just show up and have a good time, and it's a great cardio. So anyways, while I'm dancing, usually Zumba lasts for about 55 minutes. And usually when I'm in the gym, I go for 2 hours total. So I usually either, if I do Zumba classes, I'll do Zumba, then I'll go out on the floor and I'll do weights. I'll rather work on my arms, my legs, whatever it is, core, for an additional hour. Then I sauna and then I shower. So, it's a whole process for me when I go to the gym because I love the gym. It's like therapy for me. Outside of my already, I go to therapy too, but it's like time where I can like actually like disconnect, and like I know my kids are safe there because they're at the kids area, and like I can just lock in on what I'm doing. But anyways, while I'm dancing, I literally like hear God like telling me like, see, like today I want you to finish this, go to the sauna for 5 minutes and leave, and be done with your session. And I'm like, what? Like, this is my off day, Thursday. Like, I wanted to do my 2-hour session, but like, I knew that God was telling me no, like, finish this and then you're going to be leaving. So I'm like trying to figure out like, why would I be leaving early? Because I don't really have anything to do. I had no plans additional, and my kids were like with their dad, but I was just like, whatever, Lord. Okay. Cause I don't always hear from God every day. It's not like God's just speaking to me all day, every day, but there's times where God directly tells me what to do, what not to do. And I know it's important for me to be obedient. So I just listened. So I go so after dance and everything, I go straight to the like area where we have the saunas and the showers so I can start getting ready to leave. I'm taking a little selfie, I'm taking a little video, and this lady, the same lady that was in front of me, she stops and she's talking to me and she starts laughing. And I was like, oh my gosh, you caught me. And I was like, yeah, I was dancing because I'm proud of myself because I've been in the gym 2 days in a row. This is a big deal. Like, I've been out of gym for 3 weeks. And she's laughing and she's like, yeah, me too. And I was like, oh, that's good. Well, congrats. So we have a short conversation, and then I go into the sauna, my dry sauna. I love the dry sauna. And I'm just sitting there. She went into another sauna. So as I'm sitting there, she comes into my sauna. And I'm like, hey, I usually have my ear pods in, but I took them out because I was like, okay, I'll talk. And she keeps bringing up the fact that she's been going through a lot. So I'm like, okay, like, I'm thinking maybe she wants to tell me. Usually people, when they keep saying they're going through a lot, they really want you to ask them, what are you going through? They usually have questions. They want you to ask questions. So she keeps saying this. So I'm like, finally like, oh, okay. Like, she's like, yeah, I'm going through a lot. It's been a really rough time. She's like, I haven't been in the gym since January. And you can tell she's like shaky and she's like looking down. And I ask her, I'm like, you're going through a lot. And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, are you going through a divorce? And like, asking me why I asked that. God must have wanted me to go like let her know, like, I see you, I see what you're going through. And she's like, she looked at me shocked. She's like, yeah, I actually am. And I'm like, oh wow, I'm so sorry to hear that. And she's like, yeah. So then we're talking and she starts to tell me, she starts to tell me that her daughter wants nothing to do with her and things are just really bad. And I'm thinking, what is going on? Like, okay, ma'am, what is going on? But then she asks me about church and she's like, oh, well, do you know of any churches? So for me personally right now, I'm not going to church. It's something that I'm looking for, but I still, have a really close relationship with God. And, I have people who look over me and pray over me. I still do all the things that I believe God is calling me to do, but I just don't have a church to call home yet. But I could see that she's like needing it. So I was like, yeah, I don't. And I was like, but I actually know of a couple. So I start giving her some resources and letting her know, like, I'm proud of you for being here. Like, even though despite what you're going through, you're in the gym, like, look at you, but she's still like, kind of shaky. So I was like, hey, let me get my phone and then I'll take your information and I'll text you the church name. She's like, well, let's just get out, because it had already been like 10 minutes. I was like, okay, fine. So we get out of the sauna and we're talking still. And so she lets me know that she starts opening up and telling me about that her fiance just recently died. And I'm like, I was kind of confused because she just told me in January she got a divorce. So I was like, okay, so then like your fiance, where did he come in? So I'm like just trying to figure out like what's going on. So before I go into this next part, I just want to let you guys know that the only reason why I'm sharing this story is not to share this woman's business. Well, you guys don't know who she is, but it's really to share the story of it and to really give us all this warning that I learned from it, and also to show us the power of God's timing. So there's so many lessons in this, and I felt like I haven't shared it. It's been almost a week. And I know that this is important for us because I know there is something in this that you need, and I know I need it. So back to the story. So pretty much she tells me that her fiance died. So I'm like, okay. So long story short, throughout this, I'm putting pieces together that pretty much she was having an affair. I don't know how for long, I don't know what was going on, but she had fell in love with this guy and she was like having an affair on her husband. And then in January, she decided to go through the divorce and for them to separate. And this whole time she was still with this man. So this man that she was telling me about was a Christian man. He owned a business, and she said that he was like struggling with his mental health, and she said he was doing like steroids, I guess. So like that isn't good for you, and like he was not okay. So she knew that he was depressed. And they had had a conversation that if he decided to take his life, that she wanted him to take her life too, because she couldn't live without him. So she's telling me all this, and I'm like, wow. I never knew that this is what people were like really thinking. Like, I hear about murder, suicide, and we're thinking that like there was like maybe like this person killed him and then killed herself. Like sometimes these people really believe that they cannot live without another person, and they want to go with them, which it's crazy, but it's reality, right? So I'm just listening to her. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And she's saying that pretty much they were in a resort in California, and they had an argument, and she said that she told him, he was like being emotional. She told him, I don't have time for your emotional immaturity. Like, I'm gonna go over here. I don't want to deal with it. And she said that when she turned her back, he pretty much said emotional immaturity and took a gun and shot himself in his head. So I'm like looking at her and I'm like, what? I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, I'm so sorry to hear this. Like, this is crazy. That is so traumatizing. Like, how are you doing? And she's like, I'm not okay. Like, this. And then she also lets me know that her daughter pretty much disowned her throughout this process because her daughter was mad that she left her dad, her stepdad. And so her daughter pretty much like got her rights taken away from her mother. She's like 20 years old. So she still did it, like to prove a point to her mom that like, I want nothing to do with you. And she like only wants to deal with her stepfather that her mother was married to for 17 years. So her fiance at the time committed suicide in front of her. She said like she lost everything. And I'm just like, okay. And so she's like, I just don't understand why I'm here. And I'm like, well, you're here because God still has a purpose for you. God still has a plan for you. Like, you would have, like, you told this man to take your life, but you were still here. So I'm trying to like, you know, I'm sharing with her like how God works and how like, you know, without bashing her, because I don't know her fully and I don't want to bash her, you know, but I also know that there's an opportunity there to help, you know, correct, because she understands God. She said that she was in rebellion, and she said that she's been trying to stray away from God, but she always ends back up at this point of where she knows she needs help. So I'm like, you know, God will strip us of everything until we surrender our life to him and until we say, okay, Lord, your will be done. You know? And so I was sharing with her Jeremiah 29:11, where it says, for I know the plans that I have towards you, saith the Lord, thoughts of good and not of evil, to give you a future and hope. So that's God's promise to us, saying that no matter what we're going through, like when we're in God's will, his will ultimately is for us to have a future, to have hope, for good things to happen towards us. So when we're not, and when things aren't looking like that, we have to reflect on ourselves and say, okay, hold on. Is there something that I'm doing? Or is there something, maybe I'm not in God's will? Maybe I'm in my own will for my life, which ultimately leads to destruction. So we're talking. I told her, I understand rebellion because I've been there. Like, there was some time ago, 2019 specifically, when I willingly was in rebellion. And I told God, hey, I don't want to follow you. I'm like tired of trying to do this whole God thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I want to do. And best believe by that 3-month mark of me saying that, I was crawling back to God, asking for his forgiveness, asking for him to pick me back up, because I had almost like literally like, I felt like I was going to die. I still had consequences after that I had to face, but I never did that again. So I'm just talking to her about like God and everything. And I'm like telling her, you know, I'm just trying to like, you know, give her hope and let her know that like life is worth, you know, living. And I could tell she was suicidal, and I could tell she was barely hanging on. And I'm like, listen, I'm like, God loves you so much that he brought both of us into this moment right here, right now, to give you a fresh wind of God. Like, I don't even usually do this. I'm not usually like, I don't usually come to the gym at this time. I'm usually at my kids' swim lessons. I usually don't even work out for 55 minutes. I'm usually on the floor for 2 hours. But God moved me in this moment just to be here with you. And God moved you to be here with me. This is because God wants you to do more for him, more for you. And I want you to know that God loves you. So I'm just still talking to her. And we took each other's information, and she pretty much opens up a little bit more and lets me know that she's a doctor, that she's she has a degree in psychology, and she's a very successful woman, but her business was going under. She was losing everything. She didn't have a home, and she was living in a hotel. And I was just like, wow. And I told her, I'm going to be praying for you. But I told her that just so you understand that the enemy wants us to believe that we have gone too far, that we've made too many mistakes, that we cannot be restored, that God cannot fix fix us and for us to just give up and go commit suicide and just die or whatever. But that's a lie. And I told her that. I said, it doesn't matter what you've done. It doesn't matter if you committed adultery. It doesn't matter if you lied, you stole, you were a murderer, you were a thief. It doesn't matter what your background is. As long as you come before God humbly. See, God wants us to humble ourselves. A lot of times people are like, well, if God does it, then so. No, sometimes it's you that needs to do it. Sometimes you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, man, like, I'm tired of me. We have to come to the end of ourselves, and then God can exalt us. God can bless us from there. And so I was telling her, like, God is giving you an opportunity right now to say, okay, enough is enough. I see the destruction that is happening around me. Lord, I want your will for my life. So I start opening up to her, like, you know, it's crazy because the last couple months, and guys, I'm going to tie it all in and I'm going to give you guys up, but I want to say a couple key points. The last couple months, I have been around so many women that are married, or men that are married, or people who are in relationships. And it's like, they always come to me about like relationships and love. And I'm like, I'm not even in a relationship. Okay. I mean, I'm believing God for my husband, for my family to be restored, in a sense of like bringing a male figure in my home, and everything that I deserve, everything that I've always wanted. Like, I know that God is going to bring it, but I'm patient because I would rather have God's will for my life than just have anybody here. I'm not doing that. So I'm telling her, I'm like, you know, I have so many people coming to me about different things, and I'm not even married. Like, this could be a time where I could be in rebellion, but I had to get to a point where I said, you know what, Lord, your will be done. And she's like, that must be really hard. That seems like unbearable. I'm like, it's not when you realize that everything you do brings you to destruction, and that the only time that you're safe is when you're truly in God's hand. So I let her know. I said, no, like, it's not sad. I had to come to understand that this is safety, and that I would rather be safe in God's presence. I would rather wait and not deal with no more trauma, not deal with no more craziness, and know that I'm safe in God's presence, then go out and try to find me a man and be in a bad situation. So we talked more, but it would take me a long time to go through all of this. But pretty much after that, I left, and I was just like sitting in my car, and I was in awe. I'm like, Lord, the fact that you told me to leave the dance class, go to the sauna, and then leave, but really you wanted me to meet this woman, blows my mind. One, the fact that everything that I did the whole day was strategically planned for that moment, up until I had a delivery order that I swapped out and switched to do something different. Like, I was doing things I had never done that day just to be in that moment. And that is what God is looking for. God is looking for people who are willing to lay down their life and say, okay, Lord, if you tell me to go south, if you tell me to go north, if you tell me to go up, down, step 6 times to the left, to the right, then I'm going to do it because I trust you. So I was in the car and I was just numb. I'm like, wow, Lord, like, you literally blow my mind. You literally blow my mind. And I was just like trying to sort through everything that I just had experienced. And I got there at like 5:15, and I didn't even leave till almost 8 p.m. That's how long. I mean, of course I did dance, and then I showered and everything. So I think I talked to her probably from like maybe around 6:45-ish to like close to 8. But I was just so thankful that God used me in that moment to witness to her and give her hope and let her know that God loved her and that there's still hope, and it doesn't matter how far she's gotten off, but that she has to see these signs and really make those changes. So with all that being said, I learned a huge lesson. One, I really understood how our feelings deceive us. Like, our feelings will put us in positions to where we're not only destroying ourselves, but we're destroying people around us. How when God says the wages of sin are death, it literally means death. It could be spiritual death. It could physically mean death. And this is not something that we need to play with. And a lot of times for me, I'm a person where God has to kind of show me. I need to hear stories of people who are really going through the fire, who are really doing their own will, and who are really going through the fire for me to realize why I have to live such a like seriously structured life and why I can't go back to my old ways, because I'm not exempt from that. You know, that man that was depressed and was in this relationship with this woman that was in adultery with this woman, whatever, like died because he had literally lost his mind. And when God says the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy, he comes to steal our peace. He comes to steal our clarity. He comes to steal our joy, everything that we've worked for, steal it all. He's come to kill us, kill our spiritual life, kill our relationship with God, kill our self-esteem, kill our future, kill our purpose. And it's important for us to know that. So when we see those signs coming, we can say, hold on, this is not of God. And I have to remove myself from it. But also, this showed me the power of our time, right? Like, God has a purpose and a plan for us. And sometimes we're so focused on everybody else. We're so focused on who likes us, who doesn't like us. You want a man, you want love, you want a relationship. You're trying to prove to this person that you can hold them down. You're trying to prove to this friend that you can hold them down. You're trying to show people that you can endure through it all. Whole time you're not walking in your purpose. Whole time there's people out there committing suicide, dying, losing their life because you're not there to intervene and share the good news of Jesus Christ with them. If I would have went to the swim lessons and I would not have been there, who knows what have happened. This woman was crying once we got done talking, and you could see in her face she was tired. She said, I literally felt like I wanted to kill myself. And I was like, wow, Lord, like that's a big weight. That's a big weight when I think about how much control I truly have of my choices. God can tell us to do X, Y, and Z, but if we decide to do what we want, then that's on us. And we're in direct rebellion against God. So I really wanted to just share this with you guys today to let you know that your purpose is dependent upon you making the right choices. Your purpose is dependent upon you making the right decisions at the right time, letting go of the right people at the right time, choosing you at the right time, choosing God's will for your life intentionally, and being willing to walk it out even if you have to be alone. This is a big deal. I texted her, she's okay. I texted her yesterday, she said she's fine. I'm gonna stay in connection with her. You know, I'm not gonna try to save her because she has to save herself. But I will let her know that she has support and she has people who do love and care for her. But this word really is for anybody who, rather if you are that person on the other side of this, who is in adultery, who is in sin, who is, doing whatever you want to do, and you see those red signs, you see the destruction coming, I want you to know that if you stop and you see the signs and say, okay, Lord, I surrender, things can get better. But also, if you don't see the signs and you continue to proceed, things can get worse until death. Until, I can't even tell you what. I mean, I've heard every story in the book of things that have happened to people. And I'm like, wow, you guys are very bold. You guys are so set on you that you will see the world burning up and you'll see a house burning up. You'll still walk into it and be like, well, I felt like doing it. We have to get off of our feelings because we have to know that our feelings are what is deceiving us. Okay, guys? So, I just really wanted to encourage you guys to see those signs and know that life can get better. It doesn't matter how far off you've gotten off track. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made. Things can get better, but know they also can get worse. So I want you, to take control of your time. Know that every single decision you make is important. Arguing with people, proving yourself, trying to, make relationships work that are out of time. God's already zipped it and said, yeah, that's done. You forcing it. You forcing relationships that God has not even given you direction. You speaking on topics that have nothing to do with you. You gossiping about people that have nothing to do with you. You doing odd jobs that are not a part of your purpose and plan. You not getting into your purpose and not starting that business, that LLC, whatever God has told you to do is directly affecting somebody else because there's people attached to your purpose and God's perfect plan for you. So I hope that this word encourages you to become your best self, to see those red flags, to put a hold on your will and take on God's will. God is calling up his people who are willing to stand for his word despite your emotions, despite your feelings, despite what you might want to do, and being willing to say, Lord, even if I want to go do X, Y, Z, if you tell me no, then it's a no. And I don't even need to know why. Is it easy? No. But is it safe? Yes. Is it worth it? Yes. I hope this word encourages you guys today. I love you. God loves you. God bless. And if you haven't, please subscribe, like, and comment. And if you have anything on your heart that touched you, please let me know, because I do plan on making more videos. Okay, and a side note, I don't know where to look at. Okay, guys, so I'm kind of looking straight, but I'm looking over here at the camera, and then I'm kind of looking down. So like if I wasn't looking, just bear with me. I'm going to get it together. I hope you guys have a good day. Peace. Mama C.